In this video, we're going to discuss the 2015 Hurrtrak software enhancements. Rather than have a separate video for each section, we're just going to cover all of the enhancements with this one video. So the first one is expertise, or our daily video discussion that we do. And we consider this sort of a permanent enhancement. It's a feature or a service that we provide to all current Hurrtrak customers, meaning current software, and also having the Hurrtrak online subscription up to date. And it basically is our video discussion that we do daily in the summer, and in the spring and winter we do it pretty much daily, but on a regular basis. So while you're on the website, if you go to this page, you can click on a couple examples of discussions we've done in the past. So remember, this is only for current Hurrtrak 2015 customers or folks who happen to have the Storm Info subscription. The next one we're going to look at is the forecast trend, and this is, we think, a pretty significant enhancement for this year. What it is a new column on all the reports that shows the change in the forecast wind speed by location. So for example, what you see here is a sample report, number of locations with, I think it was Wilma, and you can see the trend column here, which I've highlighted, that shows how the forecast has changed from the prior advisory. So you no longer have to remember what the prior forecast was, or go back and run a forecast for the prior advisory. It'll show you right there. So for example, in this case, Naples has had a weakening trend for them, while areas along the East Coast, it's a little bit higher, except for Fort Pierce, that's lower, and you can see the different numbers down through here. So we think this is going to be real useful. It'll show up on a number of reports, the narrative impact statement. It'll also show up on the summary reports, the risk impact reports, as information within those reports also. Now we're going to jump over this next one, go right to forecast wind thematics since they're related. You can also create a county summary report and then plot a thematic that shows where the winds are increasing or expected to increase and expected to decrease from the prior forecast. So forecast trend, we think, is a pretty powerful tool, and we think you'll get a lot of use out of that. The next change is enhanced wind estimation. And at first glance you might think this is a feature that's only designed for engineers, people that are interested in designing buildings, but we think it has more applications than that. And what it allows you to do is estimate winds for higher elevations than the standard 33 feet that's used throughout the system otherwise. So we ran a report down here that shows for a number of locations, and we just picked Boca Raton, I think, with Wilma, and different elevations, and you can see how the highest wind speeds expected increase from 73 miles per hour near the surface to 115 miles per hour, which is a whole category 3 level, at 500 feet. And as you go higher, that would increase some, although the rate of increase goes down a little bit. So we think this is useful to anybody who has an interest in anything that isn't at a 33-foot altitude. So this will be useful for buildings, hotels, top of construction rigs, high tension wires, a number of different applications that I'm sure you can think of. The next one is really an enhancement to the current weather observation and depiction. And we have added precipitation to that function, where you can see the rainfall reported the last 24 hours, as well as relative humidity and heat index. Let's take a look at what that might look like on a report. So here we generated a report that has those additional columns of relative humidity and then heat index. This was done in early March, so we don't have any really high values here, but you can see the values of 90 degrees in Fort Myers on March 12th all the way down, and the heat index only is valid for temperatures above 80. So when you get to readings that are 105, 110, 115, if you have any assets or you're interested in yourself as far as heat index danger levels, then this will be real useful, and you can see that not only on a report but also on a map. And this map right here kind of gives you an idea of what that might look like. So we think the addition of the precipitation, which of course is useful information for flooding, the heat index and relative humidity is a nice addition to this. If you're not familiar with this function, you just come to this page and there is a video that talks about this function in more detail and several examples. Here are some other changes. The usability improvements, there's a number of them, but the one that comes to mind is related to when tropical depressions become tropical storms, allowing you to open a tropical storm name easily. Crosswind calculations, this one is very specific and mostly related to airport type operations. We'll click on that. And what it allows you to do is show the crosswinds for a runway. So for example, here we put in New Orleans, a couple airports, and we've entered into the location definition for these locations, the crosswind direction. So then when you generate a report, you can see the crosswind component, and that determines many times when airport operations will start and stop. You also have the ability to export it to an Excel spreadsheet that gives you those exact dates and times of when that 25 knot crosswind begins, which in many cases is the critical wind speed that they're looking at. So if you have any need for crosswind information, we now have that within the system. Enhanced wind probabilities, we've taken the function that's used to be just for the Atlantic and also made it work for the Western Pacific, the Northwest Pacific. So the wind probabilities for 34, 50, and 64 knots can now be displayed or included in a report. We've enhanced some of the Excel export capabilities. The forecast wind trend can now be included in those reports. We just saw the 25 knot crosswinds can be on those Excel reports, and also the relative humidity and heat index can be on those Excel reports. So if you export to Excel regularly, you'll get all the information available. We touched on these briefly, but now the risk impact summary report has the forecast wind trend information within that report. The narrative impact description now includes that information, both in the narrative description and the tabular form of the summary report. And we've included the latest storm surge data into the system. And at this point, it looks like the changes are New Orleans and Chesapeake Bay. The next two are the enhanced network operations. This allows you, for network users, to have your server do most of the work related to updating the Hurrtrak databases and creating email alerts and those kind of functions, while the workstation users can just operate the system in a more efficient manner, not having to worry about those extra functions and capabilities of the system. Lastly, system appearance. We've added a few more skins that allow you to change the look and feel of the Hurrtrak system. This isn't anything major, but it's kind of fun to do if you want to just get a different look and feel to the system. So those are most of the changes. We think the continuation of expertise, the forecast wind trend, reports and the thematic, the enhanced wind estimation at different levels, the additional data within the current weather observations, depictions, as well as the other changes we've made, make this a significant improvement from last year's version. So hopefully this video has given you some insight to the changes for 2015. And if you have any questions or want more information, please contact me at the email that you'll see next. Thanks a lot.